Just talking about the guitar, I don't know whether you remember the last time that we met when you were in Stockholm and I bought the Axis down that they'd kindly built me for my 20 years with Music Man, and I had the Piezo on it. And you were playing, I remember you playing, I think it was Highland Wedding or something on it. And it was all, I've got it, Veronica took it on iPhone. It's one of those things that's a very personal thing to see you playing that on my guitar. Have you never thought about having a Piezo system on one of your guitars, or is it anything you've ever experimented with?
Yes, I did. I had them make a model when we were late in the prototype stages.
Yeah.
And one past that. The only thing about it is the bridge piece sitting on the, I don't know if it's a crystal strip or whatever you call the piezo strip that the bridge piece might sit on. It changes the sound very subtly, but makes it sound a little thinner to me.
Yes.
And that's the only reason. But when you got an Engel amp that, you know, that sounds like so clear. It's beautiful. I play my classical through that. That's with the compressor on. I mean, without the compressor, you put the classical guitar through it, and it sounds like a hi-fi.
Yeah,
you know, you can make it, but you can also make it warm too.
Yeah,
that was a warmer setting I was just using there.
Yeah, and so the Y2D guitar. For any of the viewers, if any of you have never checked out Steve's signature guitars, you need to. The original model was based off of your old Telecaster, wasn't it? And then you've got the which has the multiple switches, and then we have the Y2D. There you go, and it's in deep, and it's
get where the glare, isn't it?
And it's in deep purple. Look at that. That's
beautiful.
Stunning.
It's the purple sunburst.
Yeah,
and.
And so that one, as we've spoken about this before, but maybe just to go over it again. Oh, look, then the 5 bolts.
Yeah, they made a rounder. Heel. For better reach.
Such a versatile, beautiful guitar. And I'll tell you what I love about your guitar, which is something I loved about the original Eddie Van Halen. I've got lots of these, Steve. This is the one that I always play, the Axis. But it's now got this is a Sport. I actually played a song. I'll have to send it to you. It was a bit inspired by you, and I played it because of the scratch plate to try and, you know, the look of your guitar. But the belly cut on this, my Van Halen, my original Van Halen doesn't have that belly cut. So it's a little bit more like a slab of a telly. And Derek and Brian are very kindly sending me a new guitar. I just got the email from them, and that's a slab body. It's an Axis, but it doesn't have the belly cut. And your guitar is a slab body. I guess it's that feel of your old Telecaster.
Yes. In fact, that's what we started with, was if you forget this horn right here, it's basically the same shape as the Telecaster. In fact, this extra fret here extends the neck slightly, but basically it's the same scale as the Fender.
Right.
Music Man was Leo Fender's company.
Yes. Yeah.
And the reason it's not 24 frets is because the placement of this pickup is so crucial for the sound, to my ears anyway, that if I was to put 24 frets, then it would have to slide over, you know, a half inch, 3/4 of an inch. And you would lose some of that warmness that I really love.
Yeah.
So that's why that there's not 24 frets. However, you know, you can still go up high and, you know, bend the notes, which I do sometimes. Like if I need to hit a D sharp.
Yeah.
or from the
Yeah.
just get used to bending them.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Y2D though, that as we've spoken before, that's there's a bit like I guess like Brian May's Red Special. Your original guitar was capable of multitude of different switching options of different sounds, but then with the Y2D, that was more like 5 of your favorite go-to on a special type of 5-way selector. I remember.
Yes, a regular 5-way selector is basically a 3-way knife switch with extra detents.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, there's 5, basically 5 wires coming, 5 contact points, and just the wiper goes from here to there to there to there to there. And originally on the let me see if I can do this, on the old Stratocaster switch, it was this, and then if you put it in between detents, you could make it touch.
Yeah.
And then this was detent number 2,
Yeah.
and then you could make it just hold it with it just balanced and touch there.
Yeah.
And it made people say, well, what if there was a switch that went 5-way? Okay, but now all you can have is this order of pickups. This pickup, the middle pickup. And what I wanted to do was go from this pickup to these 2 to this pickup, which is fine. That's all 5-way regular could do it. But when I wanted to go here to this position, instead of these 2, I wanted this pickup and that pickup.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that was with, running wires around from a multi-pole switch. And a multi-pole switch just has 5, and then another 5, and then another 5, another 5.
Okay. Oh, wow.
In layers. So when you pull the switch, you're actually moving 4 of them.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're independent of each other. But because I wanted that reversal of position on position 4, it meant running wires around. Same way you would wire a double pull, double throw switch to reverse a current.
Right.
A directional current on a DC switch.
Yeah. So any of you guys out there, I'll put some links in the description of the videos. Go and check out, these incredible guitars and incredible amplifiers. Just great gear. It's really well thought out working tools. They're
it is. I find it ironic that, being at a point where after decades and decades and decades, or half century plus of playing, what you're doing and how to get a sound out of a guitar and an amp. But I really could have used having great stuff like this when I was starting out. Yeah. And it's such a shame that it's harder for beginners.
Yeah.
But for anybody starting and with the most modest equipment, having it adjusted correctly will make a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, these guitars, hold on, if I just stand up here, these are fantastic. The Sterling by Music Man guitars. These are, I don't know what the price of these, like $300 or something like that.
That's right. They've got an affordable line. And does it have the adjustable truss?
Yes, it does. It has the adjustable truss rod on it there as well.
Okay. Let me tell people about this.
Yeah.
This is something, it's like a sprocket wheel.
Yes.
And instead of a nut or instead of a screw, the way a truss rod is made is it's an arced piece of metal embedded into the sandwiched in the wood.
Yeah.
And as the strings try to pull the neck and bow it like this, the arched piece of metal is designed so that when you tighten it, it bends the neck this way. So by tightening it just enough, you make the neck perfectly flat.
Yes.
In balance with the strings. You change strings, change tuning. You're going to need to mess with the truss rod a little bit to keep it perfect. You change humidity, like go from Arizona to Seattle. You're going to need to just touch it up on any guitar. Yeah. And so you can just stick a nail in there.
Yeah.
A small screwdriver, anything to fit in that hole and just do it in just half a second. And it just takes a tiny bit, but you've got the leverage to do it, a small adjustment very easily and so quick. You know, I would just do it. Get off the plane. You're in a weird, different atmosphere than guitars used to, or a different temperature. Just look down the neck. If you see anything, that's how long it takes. It's a 15-second job.
I remember coming. My first time I toured in South America, and it was like guitars coming out in Venezuela, and it being like, what the hell? I've never played in such humidity, but it literally was just, there you go, that works. You know, it's it's. I think they're just real players' guitars. You know, even the more modestly priced ones. So just to kind of, I don't want to take too much of your time, Steve, seeing as you've been so incredible this week making this work. I can't thank you enough.
Well, I apologize for the infrastructure problems we've had in my region with the internet and holiday traffic and stuff.
Steve, it's you've gone above and beyond. There was just something on our original take when the internet was really bad, that there was something that you did that blew me away. You've been quite open about some issues you've had with your hand. I'm actually having issues with the other hand right now, with my fretting hand. I'm seeing a doctor, and he's saying that I've been playing guitar since 1977, I think it was. I was about 6 years old when I started. And so, you know, turning 50, I've worn the cartilage away playing guitar every day. You've had
50. You kids today. All right, go ahead. Sorry. Get off my lawn.
I wish. God, I think the first time we met was at Phil's house when we did that session years ago for Guitar Techniques, and I think I was 27. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy. But
what they say with your fretting?
Well, again, I've got to go back and see them again, but they're talking about pumping in some kind of liquid to regenerate the cartilage. But sometimes if a prolonged playing can be very painful. And we were talking the other day, I went out and did my first gig post-COVID, and I could feel tension, and it made me nervous. It made me stiff. I wasn't relaxed when I was playing the gig. So it's something that I need to address. But I know you've had your own personal issues with your picking hand, and you've actually, I know you've adopted. I saw a video where you were talking about how you've adopted using some sweep picking techniques for arpeggios, and also you've changed the way that you pick. And we were talking about the arpeggio section on the end of that awesome arpeggio session, and how you've made some very deliberate changes, but those changes had actually affected the outcome of the way the arpeggios flow, the note choice.
Definitely. Okay. So in the old days, I would. Now I'm doing my hand the way I used to play it.
Yeah.
And it hurts to do it that way. So what I've done now is it's changed my picking to where I'm really picking from the elbow.
But you're so clean with that, Steve.
Well, I'm picking every note, but here's what I'm doing. I'm only playing 2 strings because my Achilles heel with picking with a stiff wrist is changing and jumping across strings.
Right.
So now I'm just, like it's always been easy for.
Yeah.
For people to play fast picking staccato, on one string, right?
Yeah.
And the hardest part is switching strings.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
Since that's a weak spot, what I'm trying to do is fashion line. So, I'm just playing the same two strings over and over.
Yeah, it just sounds fantastic.
But when I was doing my regular technique, like with too many notes, I would go da 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 four different strings.
Yeah,
and I like that better. But I just, I got to, like Clint Eastwood said, a man's got to know his limitations.
Yeah. See, I've known my limitations with too many notes since the day I bought power lines. And that's one of the pieces, without a doubt, one of the most complicated pieces of guitar. I've never managed to get that down, but it's something that I always say to guitar students: you want to work on your picking. I think it's, I don't know whether you agree with this. Obviously, the other night we were watching some of the old Dregs stuff, watching you play the bash and stuff on your telly. I think that it's very easy to play like single string picking lines, but if you really want to know your picking, you've got to be able to cross the strings. I think getting that arpeggio playing, I think that really is a test of developing the technique fully.
Yeah, and I could do it. I practiced a lot for 52 years before it became impossible to do it daily. Mm. But it just a few bones here just got worn out, and the injections didn't help me. It would just always move, or my body rejected, or something bad happened when I tried to get him. So sometimes I wear a glove that holds a bunch of painkiller goop. Painkilling is not the solution, because bone on bone, you don't want to sit there and grind your bones.
No.
But it happens sometimes at gigs. So that's why I wear the pain stuff, so that I'm not, just so I can keep playing.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I wear a brace to keep me from being able to to rotate the wrist, because it's so inflamed from the night before and the night before and the night before. So like I said, those are all working on your limitations. And genetically, I have arthritis in my mom's side of the family. She had it real bad. And that's what the real problem is.
Yeah.
But and my son picks sort of like, holds a pick like me with two fingers and a thumb, but he can keep his wrist in line, and he doesn't rotate it in two different axes like I was doing.
Right.
And somehow he can pick across strings. It seems like he has the perfect technique of being able to do that, plus play effortlessly, the real fast. So he sort of plays a mix between pop and metal and death metal things, where he can do the super fast galloping rhythms and stuff. So I wish I had played with his technique when I was his age and stuck with that, but live and learn.
But I just want to round up the new Deep Purple album, Turning to Crime. Guys, you need to go and check this out. There's some absolutely wonderful playing on this, Steve. Listening to you adopting different styles. The Shape of Things to Come is a standout track for me. Obviously, oh well, the kind of the reworking that you did in that, and also Let the Good Times Roll as well. The blues playing. I don't think I've ever heard you play in that way before. It was it's unmistakably you, but it's just great the way that you've nodded given reference to these artists, but still kept it with the flavor of yourself and the band.
Well, it's fun to do, actually, and to have permission to do it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if you do it, you don't have to worry about somebody saying, well, that sounds like so and so, and you say, well, it is so and so. It's their song. We're just redoing it, but we're doing it with a few different things in there.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
we wrote some extra parts for some of the songs, and, something I just can't help myself doing.
Yeah, I think as you said before, you're like that talkative uncle. I like that.
Yeah.
I love that quote. That was fantastic.
Yeah, don't invite him to dinner if you don't want to hear some stories. Don't let me into the writing session or into the arrangement room unless you want to get some suggestions for some different parts.
Yeah, if you don't want to change the song, don't invite Steve Morse, for God's sake.
Definitely.
So what about the future with music for you, Steve? Are we going to get a new Steve Morse Band album at some point, or a solo album? I'm hungry for some new solo material.
Oh, okay. Well, that's very possible. Also, we haven't done with anything with Flying Colors in a long time.
That stuff's great.
Steve Morse Band or the Dregs. So yeah, there's a lot to choose from, and I think it all pays about the same.
yeah.
But it goes along with the last 2 years of my gig income.
Yeah. I've been so lucky to have the studio. I built this studio just at the right time. I remember coming and looking at this place. As I said to you, it's a Cold War bomb shelter. It's huge, multiple rooms. And when I got it, I said, I'll have it. And Veronica looked at me and she was like, I didn't know this. She was looking behind me going, what the hell is he doing? What's he going to do with this place? And now she's like, oh, go down to the studio. Go on, off you go, off to work. Because, it's doing good. I don't know what we'd have done without this. I know so many musicians now who are, just odd jobs and, it's really bad.
Well, it's great to have a place to work. And that's always been a priority for me. Mm. When I lived in Georgia, in the time when the Dregs were active, and we were doing our recordings and albums and touring, I bought some land outside of town, and it was scrubby, cheap land, and the guy let me make payments. And so I've moved an old single wide trailer on there. Now that was where I was fine to live. Mm. And my wife at the time was fine to live there too. She wanted me to build a barn, which we ended up doing, to have horses and stuff. But the studio, however, was, Chuck Allen, my sound man and all around partner helping me. We built the studio, set out boards, and I had a bulldozer at the time, and cleared the spot. Yeah, and put out the boards, laid the concrete. Poured the concrete ourselves and stacked the blocks. And he stacked a lot of them, and then put the roof on, and just started building the inside. That took longer. Maybe I put probably 10 times as much money into it as I did that $3,000 mobile home that we lived in, because the studio is the center of a musician's life. Our workshop. Yeah. If you build furniture, you need a workshop. Yeah. Yeah. If you make music, you need some kind of place. And now people can do it with headphones in their apartments with the digital equipment and, getting to know the software. Yeah. So no matter what, you need a place to express yourself musically. But it's pretty amazing how compact the studio has gotten, from, like I said, pouring the concrete yourself. Yeah. You can do it on an iPad now, That's right. People are recording albums on iPads. I know, it's crazy. I still run amps. I use a lot of impulse responses, but I still use amps. But I just actually finished my control room is the other side of that wall. So this is the live room where I film, or mainly where I film and guitars and stuff. And then I got the control room, and then the other side I had a spare room. There were so many rooms, so I've turned that into an amp room. So eventually I'll be, everything will be mic'd up in there. So I still there is something about that. I was doing some video from Mesa Boogie, and I mic'd a cab up. I was like, oh my God,
This sounds amazing. I haven't mic'd up in so long, just using, impulse responses, but I still like to turn an amp up.
Definitely.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
nothing like it.
Yeah.
When I was recording Coast to Coast, we did the first part of it in Northern California, where I was living kind of temporarily, and then we were moving to Florida, and I was having a studio built actually for me, which was a nice step up. But it wasn't ready. The house was ready, so we moved into the house, and I put all this stuff, the speakers, the desk, and the studio in the garage.
Yeah.
And set it up, put a rug down, and that was my studio. And outside in a U-Haul trailer, I put the amp cabinets and covered them with blankets, put some microphones in front of it and covered it with blankets, and then ran the wires out and under the garage door and into it. And that's how I finished the album.
Yeah.
So it just, it's about working with the equipment and putting the time in. You don't have to have a great space, but having a great space is wonderful. Like you have.
You've been amazing this week. I just want to say to everyone, this is the third day of Steve and I getting together to talk. We had some internet problems, and Steve was like, let's do it tomorrow. So thank you so much, Steve.
Thanks for doing this. And I want to thank everybody watching or listening for supporting music, and I don't know, just taking the time to listen to it. It's the most important way that we communicate, I think.
Yeah.
And it's timeless, and it goes across all language barriers.
Yeah, we said this the other day. As I said to you about my first trip to Japan, played a guitar clinic with a band couldn't speak a word, but we all managed to. Off we go. It crosses everything.
People, they all, every continent, every country we've been to, they all turn into the same human crowd.
Yeah,
emotion and everything going along with the music.
Yeah. I'm so sorry, Steve, but I've just thought of one last question. When you said that, then I've got something I need to ask you. Have you ever spoken to Ritchie Blackmore? Have you ever spoken about how parts are played? Has this situation ever come up? Because I had to learn Smoke on the Water, and I've played Smoke on the Water for years. I used to play the open strings, da, da, da. Yeah. And then I played it on the 5th fret of the A and the D, 3rd fret D and G. And then I was doing a bit of research, and someone was in a forum, he played it up at the 10th fret of the E and the A. And I was like, come on. And then I watched some video, and I was like, holy crap, he's playing it up here. But then he moved around a lot, and I didn't know whether he was messing with people a bit. You play it down at the 5th and the 3rd fret, don't you? Have you?
Yeah, and I usually use my fingers,
Yeah.
I think playing it down. Like that's obviously where he played Burn, right?
Yeah.
But Dweezil Zappa had a I think it was an Axe FX rig, and we were working on playing a tune together in Montreux, and he showed.
Yes. Yeah.
That sounds more like the record.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's just the introduction, but when you play it in that position with the Hammond organ, it has a thickness to it.
Definitely. Once the organ comes in, it does anyway. When Don Aries or John Lord's playing with you. But I think you're right. For some reason, the cabinet that Ritchie was playing through had a bunch of that low end woof that comes I don't know if it was from thicker strings, but I sort of compromised by going. That's a
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah.
I like staying down there so I can hit the low notes and annoy the purists. No, I don't try to do it. I just get lost in the tune. I love music, love rock music. Sometimes I do it my own way, and I'm sorry. I apologize.
Have you ever had any comments from the purists about you not playing it on a Strat?
Oh, yeah, comments. Yeah, the first year the comments came in the form of beer. And one time, it was a bottle.
Oh no!
And when you're looking out at the crowd, you don't see. You have the lights pointed at you, so
holy crap!
You have a limited vision, and suddenly this one just got bigger right in front of my head, and I ducked, and it hit John Lord.
Oh my God!
It didn't knock him out, but it was like, oh wow, that really hurt. He was messed up from it, and
that's really bad.
But a bunch of times they would throw cups with beer at me, and it was a weird welcome. Your original question was, have I talked to Ritchie about how to play parts? No, I haven't. But I've exchanged some messages with him. Actually, his wife,
right?
She would. Write a few messages on email, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah,
and he started off by being very cool about the transition. I mean, what do you say when the band's going on without you?
Yeah,
I mean, how would that feel to me if the Dregs went on without me? I don't know. I mean, you have to say, well, okay, we have got this body of work, and everybody's put decades into it.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't they? If somebody can copy the stuff, why can't the original band, except for me, keep playing? And so, I think, that given all that, he could have assassinated me with just a few sentences, because, he had the pretty much the sympathy of all of the fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, hey, this is Ritchie Blackmore, one of the iconic guitarists, rock guitarists of the world.
Yeah.
And the founder of the band, along with Ian Pace.
Yeah.
John Lord. So, the fact that he basically just gave me the room to do it. Regardless of what, if hearing some of the versions of, if you has heard any of the versions of me playing his stuff, may have made anybody roll their eyes because I put my own style into it.
You've become, and I'll probably get loads of hate for saying this, but I think you've become the voice of Deep Purple, Steve. You've been in the band longer than Ritchie Blackmore was in the band. And you've
but he played on all the classic iconic stuff.
He did play on the classic stuff, but I think
wrote a lot of it.
Yeah.
So,
but I also think that you have contributed. I think that sometimes I feel like Screaming is one of the band's absolute masterpieces. I think that is a wonderful piece of music.
Oh, thanks. Well, I love the new stuff that we've done and everything, but I understand how, when you're at a certain age and you get locked into the music of a band, you just can only see it that way. That's what you remember. That's the stuff that turns you on the most because it was at a formative time in your life.
Yeah, but it's like, I guess it's like talking a lot but the conversations I have with Brian May, they've chosen to continue Queen with Adam Lambert, who is fantastic. But some of the stuff you read on there, you're like, my God, it's people are very passionate about those iconic bands and the original members, I guess.
Oh yeah. Well, but Freddie Mercury isn't there. He isn't there. If you want to hear it with some of the guys that started the band, well, do it.
Yeah.
And same with Deep Purple. That's your choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Ritchie isn't in the band anymore, but I was really hoping that Ritchie and the band would get to a place where they could, socialize more and feel comfortable around each other and so forth. And I thought that might happen at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony, but it didn't.
Yeah.
And, I'm glad to play with the band anytime, but, it would have been cool if we could all got up and jammed on a tune.
That would have been cool to see that with you and with Ritchie.
And if he came in while we were playing Smoke on the Water and had his guitar on, I would just unplug and here you go, dude. This is
your arena.
This is your Hall of Fame performance, man.
Yeah.
I'll step out of the way.
Yeah, no, it's very, very admirable. Thank you so much, Steve. You're always so wonderful to talk to. It's always such a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time this week. And guys, I'll post lots of links. Steve's guitar, the new Purple album, the amplifiers, everything. Go and check some of this great stuff out. And we look forward to some new music at some point.
Well, always working on it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, Steve. Take care.
Thank you. Thanks for doing this, Jimmy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.